Hello, I'm David Green, the director here at the Florence Nightingale Museum in London. We're based at St Thomas's Hospital on the banks of the River Thames, just opposite the Houses of Parliament. 2020 promised to be such an exciting year for our small independent charity as it's Nightingale's bicentenary, and we were expecting visitors from across the globe. The whole world probably recognises Nightingale as the most famous nurse, the mother of modern nursing, but she's so much more than that. As the museum story explains, she was a great statistician, a true pioneer of public healthcare, and of course in 2020 we've heard many times how she taught us to wash our hands. We had a whole range of exciting events and activities planned, something for everybody, but much of this has now been cancelled. But what we want to show you today is an element of our temporary exhibition, the many stories that it tells regarding how Nightingale has inspired generations of nurses, and through doing this, her fame has spread and her knowledge has inspired so many. I'll shortly introduce you to a very special guest who's going to help us to explore the museum. But please do remember, the Florence Nightingale Museum is about so much more than Florence. It's about celebrating the nursing profession and all that's achieved as her legacy. And that includes all nurses from today too. Due to Nightingale's global popularity, the museum received huge amounts of press coverage in the early part of the year. Everyone was keen to celebrate with us, and our temporary exhibition literally received headlines throughout the world. But sadly, just as it was launched, COVID-19 struck, and instead the museum was forced to close. Therefore, instead of welcoming thousands and thousands of visitors and experiencing record year, instead we've faced a funding crisis, and so we've had to begin fundraising in order to save the museum. Thankfully, after over 140 days of closure, the museum is now open, but it's still imperative that we fundraise if we want Nightingale's museum to survive beyond her bicentenary year. Now we're reopened, please do come and visit if you can, but if you do, remember to wear a mask, or perhaps if not, buy one in the museum shop when you arrive. So now it's time for me to introduce you to our very special guest.
Oh, hello! Oh, glad to see you're wearing your mask. Oh, I wish we'd had those in my day. Now time to tell you all about some highlights from the museum. Right, follow me, chop chop. Right, well, welcome to my museum. Here you can learn all about my life. Now this section is all about my childhood, so my time spent with my sister Parthenope and my call to become a nurse. In this section it's all about the Crimean War, where I worked at Scutari Hospital to improve the conditions. And this section, where the real work began, you can learn all about health reform, sanitation, my work with statistics, the books that I wrote, including notes on nursing, and of course, my training school. Right, let's begin, shall we? Follow me. Now this section is all about my childhood. Yes, my time spent with my sister Parthenope. Now you can see us both here in this painting, but we were very, very different sisters. Yes, Parthenope much preferred her art and her music and sewing, whereas I liked my studies, particularly mathematics. Now looking at this painting, you'd probably assume that I would be the one holding the book and my sister would be the one sewing. But you'd be wrong. Yes, actually, it's the other way round. Yes, this is me posing for the painting. Hours and hours I had to sit like that. Can you imagine? Dear me, I was bored out of my mind. I absolutely detest sewing. Now this painting was done to show all of the young men out there that the Nightingale sisters were ready to get married. Can you imagine? As I've heard, it's a little bit like your new age Tinder? Is that right? Am I saying that right? Just, well, anyway, absolutely ridiculous. And as you probably know, I never did get married. No, I had 4 proposals, thank you very much. But no, I had a higher calling in life. You see, God called me to be a nurse. Yes, I was quite young, only 16 years old, but I knew that that is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Yes, none of this marriage business, thank you very much. Now, when we see you here at the museum, you will be able to see my little pet, Athena. Oh, Athena, she's a dear little thing, only this big. Yes, unfortunately, she died while I was on my way to the Crimean War, but she has a new home here at the museum. Now, I think we should go and learn more about that Crimean War. Off we go. Right, well, this section is all about the Crimean War and how I improve conditions at Scutari Hospital. You will see the first ever nurse's uniform. Yes, I made my nurses wear a sash. I did not want them getting confused with the other ladies in the hospital, thank you very much. So I made them wear a sash and they were to sew on themselves the word Scutari Hospital. So everyone would know they were one of my nurses. And of course they had to wear a cap too. Now you will also see my medicine chest and the delightful little tortoise, Jimmy. Yes, I gave the soldiers a pet tortoise, Jimmy, so they could look after him. Yes, it's like I said later in my book, Notes on Nursing. A small pet animal is a great companion for the sick. Now you will also see what I am famous for. Yes, my lamp. This is my fanus. Now I have it here for you, so you can see how it works. So what I would do, I would slowly remove the lid, light the candle inside, and then all you do is just simply bring up the lamp around the candle. Now I think it's about time that I go and visit my patients. Should we go and learn about hospital reform? Off we go, follow me. Now in this section, this is where the hard work began. Now, although I'd returned home from the Crimean War quite ill, yes, I had Crimean fever, I was determined to improve healthcare forever. Yes, and not just for the soldiers, but for the public in general, and to improve nursing, of course. I began to write. I wrote over 200 books and pamphlets, my most famous book being Notes on Nursing. I also used my work with mathematics and statistics to create a Coxcomb diagram. This was used to show my findings at the Crimean War. I also worked with hospitals to develop health reform and improve the designs of the hospitals. And of course, in 1860, I opened up my own training school, the Nightingale Training School. Finally, nursing had become a respectable profession. So much so that by the time the First World War and later the Spanish flu pandemic came around, there were nurses from all around the world, from all walks of life, ready, professionally trained to go and help in the crisis. I spent the remainder of my life here, at my home in South Street, London. Now, the Florence Nightingale Museum has recreated my bedroom. Now, as part of my bicentenary year, yes, I am 200 years old, you know. I use a very good face cream. The museum have a temporary exhibition, Florence Nightingale in 200 Objects, People and Places. I think we should go and have a look at a few of the new items on display. Follow me. This is the new temporary exhibition. It is split into 7 sections, which span my lifetime and also go into my legacy. One of the sections is nursing and midwifery, and it features many of my esteemed colleagues. One of them is Mrs. Kofowarola Pratt. She was the first black lady to work for the NHS, and she trained here at St Thomas's Hospital, and she is a Nightingale nurse. Now, in our temporary exhibition, there may be a few things that you'd expect. However, there may be a few that you don't, including, did you know I was mentioned in the film Back to the Future? Also, I appear in the video game Assassin's Creed. And the Florence Nightingale Museum worked with Mattel to produce the Florence Nightingale Barbie as part of their Inspiring Women series. These are collector's items, and you can buy one of these in our shop. Now, our exhibition might be called Florence Nightingale in 200 Objects, People and Places, but there are only 199 items. Yes, it's up to you to decide the final one. So if you head over to our website, you can nominate the 200th item. So it could be anything from a nurse that you know, or maybe the new Nightingale Hospital. So yes, you may know me as the Lady of the Lamp, but there is a lot more for you to discover. So I look forward to welcoming you here to the Florence Nightingale Museum, London. Now, back to you, David. David? Oh, good heavens, where has that man got to?
Don't worry, Miss Nightingale, I'm still here. I think you'll all agree that there's so much more to the Lady of the Lamp than what many people think. And the museum is a fantastic way of finding out so many of those stories. I really look forward to welcoming you if you can make it to here. It'd be great to see you. But if you can't come along to the museum, don't forget about that online exhibition. We'd love to have your input for that 200th exhibit, and it's a great way of finding out more and sharing the story with all sorts of people who must be interested, that I'm sure you know. In this, the bicentenary year of Nightingale, it would of course be tragic if the museum were to close, and sadly that is a very real possibility at the moment. It's impossible for us to generate visitor numbers whilst the pandemic rages, and therefore it's important that I ask you to support us as best you are able. If you are able to make a donation, please do so. If not, are you able to buy something from the museum shop? Christmas is coming and we've got some great presents, particularly for nurses. Alternatively, why not buy a ticket for a friend? You could subscribe for them and then you're giving a gift as well. Most of all though, I also want to say thank you. Thank you to every single nurse who has worked so tirelessly during the pandemic. Thank you for spending time with us and exploring Florence's fascinating journey into nursing and her many achievements. If you'd like to know more, please stay with us. Another short film will follow. You're welcome to use this with your staff, with your colleagues, with your families to keep spreading the word of Nightingale's legacy.